Welcome trainers to the series where we update the type chart and edit all 18 types with my own changes as well as your own input. From the interactions they have with other types, certain battle effects associated with the type, and any alterations we can make to existing information regarding the type. Today we'll be covering everyone's favourite frosty type, the ice type. A type that needs no introduction as it's on everyone's radar for offense, and a great example for people to use for a terrible defensive option. For me, the defensive qualities are enough to knock it down to one of the worst types, but that's what this series is for. We've already fixed some pretty mediocre types, so let's do the same with the ice type. So offensively, it's a fantastic choice to counter the common grass, flying, ground and dragon types, on top of a surprise ice terror blast being enough to turn a whole game around. However, we're going to make a quick edit to offense. Ground shouldn't be weak to ice, it's the earth element after all. It shouldn't be vulnerable to ice when parts of the planet are covered in it. Not to mention the earth's core is a ridiculous temperature. A little frost on its surface is like the sensation we feel when we hold an ice cube. You know what part of the body ice does affect? Ice and the coldness affect the mind. From brain freeze to the desperate need for a warm blanket, the coldness will have an impact on your mind, which we can compare to the psychic type. The psychic type could do with another weakness, although for all the changes you have to check out that video when it comes out, so make sure you stick around. I think there's enough reason for ice to be super effective to psychic. Like I mentioned, the coldness can impair your thinking and decision making. I don't seem to make the smartest decisions when I'm freezing, but then again, I don't tend to make the smartest decisions anyway. Then there's brain freeze, a phenomenon involving coldness entering your mouth and your mind literally deciding to blow up. Surely psychic types known for their intellect are going to be stunted when blasted with beams of ice. Anyway, on to the main reason why you're all here. The main meal to this 3-course banquet, the defensive boosts. Ice is begging for help, and I have just a dish to sate your appetite. Fire and steel will remain super effective for obvious reasons. However, if you saw the previous videos, you'll know that electric is now super effective, and rock will no longer be super effective. I'm also dropping ice's weakness to fighting too. Yes, there's the idiom fighting a blizzard, but that's more of a figurative statement than a literal one. I think it's ridiculous how ice is weak to the impact of a fist. If that's the case, then the impact on every Pokemon should deal super effective damage. As for resistances, we're keeping ice resisting itself. Would be a crime against Skyrim and her people if we were to take that away. However, let's add Psychic to that very small list too. We've established that Ice will be super effective to Psychic, so it works the other way round. Psychic is sometimes referred to as a space type too, and in a vacuum of space it's definitely cold. Not to make it a science lesson, but the coldness actually impacts a lot in space, including planets and asteroids. I know we can do just a little better. I think an immunity is in order. This time we're targeting water. Fire last time, and now water. Grass is definitely in trouble in a future video. It just makes so much sense for water to deal no damage to ice types. Ice is literally frozen water. A water move of any proportion should be absorbed into ice type structure. Some ice types can even regulate their own body temperatures to affect the atmosphere around them, so even the air isn't safe. The only argument that can be made are hot water moves like Scald, or smashing moves like Crabhammer, to which I say they could be like Freeze Dry, and maybe the moves can actually be super effective against ice types. Make the moves more accessible to a wider range of Pokemon, and you've got a niche counter to ice that isn't fire, electric or steel. Which nicely moves us on to the final segment where we discuss battle effects. While we could go into detail about Freeze Dry and Scald, and maybe create some new interactions, let's focus on something a little bit more simpler, the underutilised and the underappreciated frozen status effect. So personally, I feel a frozen target should have their special defences halved. Just like with burn and paralysis, having a frozen target should halve one of their stats. Special defense makes the most sense, as they can't move and are susceptible to any ranged attack. Also, let's just get rid of the whole 20% chance to unthaw completely. You're telling me that in theory, 100 turns could pass and my Pokemon is still frozen? Nah, that's ridiculous, both from a mechanical and a logical standpoint. How many games can you say that you've lost because you were frozen? Make it like sleep, where the first turn is guaranteed to be frozen, and then up to 3 turns, the chance to defrost increases. Shoutouts to 15Luapo9, who states that ice is very underrated. Sheer cold is just perfect when it lands, for example. Ice-Q can abuse the snowy weather when things are right to avoid taking damage. Not to mention that Aurora Veil and Slush Rush make things like Beartic more viable outside of Trick Room. I mean, yeah, I suppose there's truth to this. There aren't many Oko moves, so for Ice to claim one of them is pretty special. Ice-Q is pretty nice too. I actually used it to win the first ever TVI tournaments back in 2019 in Sword and Shield. Aurora Veil is pretty goated too, allowing you to set up a wall to simultaneously reduce both physical and special damage. But we all know that Lord Snom is the ultimate Ice goat. Pretty quick video, I know. Ice gets a few defensive buffs, and we fixed the frozen status condition. Here's how the new table looks now. Hope this is just what you was looking for, the Toe Song. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. These changes would probably make me appreciate Ice a little bit more, but how about you? Make sure to subscribe to the channel too, so you can keep up with the other videos when they get released. Until then, however, make sure to train hard and team build to the best of your ability, and I'll see you guys in the next video.